there's only so long you can spend with 4 other people on a boat for like 3 weeks.
It's been a very intense time. Very intense. It's actually overwhelming a little bit.
So the autopilot went about 9 o'clock. There was a click and then it just all went off, and I got a warning on the multifunction display. And even though I can hear it engaging, it's not actually turning the wheel, which means there's some sort of mechanical fault.
You and me, we're family. The bond that we share is as deep as the sea. No matter how rough things may come to be, you and me, we're family. Sing ho, hey.
I found some flying fish on the deck, so yeah, over they go. Poor things.
It was a fairly normal day at sea. Darry was fishing. No one was to know what was going to happen next.
So the autopilot went about 9 o'clock. There was a click and then it just all went off, and I got a warning on the multifunction display. And even though I can hear it engaging, it's not actually turning the wheel, which means there's some sort of mechanical fault. So I had to quickly get her anchor up, and so while she was steering, I took out the drive unit. But obviously it's kind of night time and I'm supposed to be on watch, so I left it at that. I'm going to have to take a look at it in the morning, because I've still got 4 hours of watch left, and then Rowan's on, so I've got to kind of sort of let her know what's happened, and she's going to have to hand steer for 2 hours, so I'm going to have to take some time off watch to take a look at that drive unit. I mean, it's been banging away for a few days, well, more than a few days actually. And whatever was banging about inside has obviously finally given up the ghost. So we've still got about 4 days ahead of us, which in these quite swelly conditions is going to be a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. So anyway, I need to take a look at it in the morning. In the meantime, I've got to try and steer by compass, because luckily we have got a moon out tonight, which means I can make out some of the clouds in the horizon, so I can steer by them for a little bit. But as soon as that's gone over the horizon, then it's going to be steering by compass. So I've taken the auto helm off and taken a look at it, but to be honest, I need to pull the cog off the front of the drive. I mean, occasionally it engages with the clutch, and then occasionally it doesn't. So obviously there's either the teeth of one of the gears is gone, or the belt drive is gone. The only way I can find out is to get in there, and I can't get in there because I can't get the cog off. I do have a gear pulley, yeah, but actually it's quite a hardcore one, and I can't get that behind the sprocket, so I can't get it behind to pull it off. So I need a smaller gear pulley. So again, I'm thwarted because I haven't got the right tools. What I'm going to try and do is get this mounting plate off, and then put it up against the sprocket, and then try and hammer the shaft through using the weight of the drive unit to hopefully take it, take the shaft with it, leaving the sprocket behind. It's a long shot, but it's better than 4 nights of hand steering. So with all the autopilot shenanigans last night, I actually slept on deck, so I haven't seen a bunk in 24 hours, so I'm absolutely knackered. So I'm going to grab an hour or two now before the night watch.
What day is it today?
Today is the 10th of June.
Yeah, it's 10th of June, and I'm not sure what day it is. It might be 15.
Friday.
And yeah, so last night, as we know, the autopilot stopped working, and something to do with the cogs inside the motor of it. So we can't repair that out here, but Woody's had a good look at it. But anyway, it means that we've all got a hand steer now. So we're kind of redoing the watch system a bit. And so yeah, here we go. This is Antonio hand steering.
So it's been great. It's an interesting thing, hand steering, because at night you have, up until more or less 5 a.m, you have the moon right in front of us, moon setting, which is really beautiful, and it gives us a perfect angle to keep the boat straight. Obviously then there are the stars after moonset, and because there's quite a few clouds forming as well, it just makes it a little bit harder, and you probably need to use more of the compass to navigate. It's kind of an interesting motion because with the swell, you know, you sort of need to keep the steering constantly adjusting and allow yourself a sort of a margin of about maybe 10 to 20 degrees, 10 to the left, 10 to the right, to port or to starboard. But other than that, so long there is wind, it's actually easier to keep on track and keep a little bit more accuracy. Yeah, it's fun.
So yeah, as you can see, Antonio's now an expert. He's from zero to hero. And that's one good thing actually I think about, you know, there's not many good things about not having autopilot because it's actually quite nice having it. But you do get to learn to steer the boat, and you don't do that when you have autopilot because you never steer the boat really. So everyone becomes much better at doing that in big seas really, and also kind of navigating by stars, and you also get to appreciate the stars a bit more because often I'll just listen to a podcast, but last night I spent most of the night just watching the stars, and it is quite beautiful, and you actually, you know, you get a different side of sailing, so try to be positive about it. There's some real good things about sailing and not having autopilot. So yeah, we've probably got 3 to 4 days before we get there. So, you know, I kind of had an inkling it might happen anyway because there was funny sounds going on, but I'm just glad that it happened at this point rather than 1,000 miles earlier. And now we just sort of fingers crossed that the steering doesn't give out completely and we have to use the emergency tiller, because that is going to be a nightmare, because we're going to have to deflate that dinghy and then stick the whole emergency tiller in there and sit on the after deck and try and steer, which not good, wouldn't be much fun. So let's just hope that doesn't happen.
So tonight we're having, I think we're having a tagine, so I'm making some naan bread. Because we're having to swap because of the autopilot situation. And we're doing the first shift in the galley, and then Renka's coming down to do the rest. So we've made some dough balls and flatten them out, stick them in the pan, and we have naan bread.
Very, wow, looks incredible. Naan bread, chickpeas and carrots, couscous and raisins. Really, really delicious.
Yeah, put more bread on so you don't want the couscous. Put that thing down, seriously.
Can you trust that you won't blow away in the wind?
So we're going through trying to avoid a few squalls. There's a couple on the horizon and there's a couple over on the port side. But I think we managed to get through without getting wet. But in the meantime, Darry's hooked another fish. That's the second one today. And by the sounds of it, it's a big one. Again. We still got the lure. So we had another bite, another one got away, unfortunately, but we do have the fish from yesterday, which we're going to have a nice fish teriyaki.
It was crazy. It was like I don't actually. I haven't seen other fish do this, but it was just jumping out the water. Like all the fish we've had is just dive to the bottom, but that one just. Whoosh. Yeah, it was like about a meter long. It was quite big.
Did it just?
Sometimes you just need to stop searching, stand up and go. Just follow the road.
It's about 1 a.m. and I'm on watch with Ewan.
Hi.
And
I'm the assistant.
I'm looking forward to get there because I think the night watchers are finally catching up on me. Because when I fell asleep when my head hit the pillow, and when I woke up, it felt like I hadn't slept at all. I'm very ready to get there because I also have to steer, and that's tiring.
I get a hot chocolate.
So far, he's had hot chocolate, Haribo, and biscuits. And I had
Dad offered
water.
you the biscuits and the
No, it's fine. You're working very hard. You need that energy.
There's nowhere to go now but down.
Back on watch. It's the next morning. I've completely lost track of what day it is. Whether it's 15 or 16 or 17 even. But indications are we've got about 3 or 4 days. Well, 2 or 3 days to go now. So we've all been taking watches. When we had the autopilot, I was doing about a 6-hour watch, but obviously that is not possible when you're hand steering. So we've broken up the watches a little bit. Rowan has now is alternating the boys coming on watch with her. And last night it was the turn of Ewan. And I mean, I really didn't think he would get up in the middle of the night and spend 2 hours with his sister, sat in the cockpit. I mean, he's not doing any steering, but he's kind of just offering a bit of company and being a bit of a runner, because obviously you can't leave the wheel once you're hand steering, particularly in this swell. But it just got me thinking about, you know, I do feel guilty all the time about their lack of formal education. But I do tend to forget that they're learning other stuff as well. Like, particularly last night, you know, I was thinking the resilience that they're showing. You know, this is a very grueling passage, this is. I mean, there's just constant movement, and obviously we've lost the autopilot now, so Mum and Dad are kind of constantly stressed out and watching where the wind's coming from, and trying to make meals in between. But they're coping remarkably well. It made me realise that what we are teaching them is kind of things like resilience and synergy even, you know. I mean, that resilience will be able to manifest itself in other walks of life, I think. And there's a lot of research to show that that is very helpful. What are you doing, Ewan?
I'm driving a stupid boat.
That was jumping like.
We're in the same boat, heading for different shores.
We haven't seen anybody else apart from each other for 3 weeks, and it's been horrible.
Grasping and
Well, I've never done such a long passage, or any passage for that matter, on a sailing boat, let alone having to learn how to do things. And, you know.
And even though we're on the biggest ocean in the world, your world does shrink to the size of the boat. And
learn how to swim.
But you're kind of dealing with, you know, tiredness, constant movement. You've got to make sure meals are provided. I mean,
things that would be mundane and everyday become even more important, like meal times and food.
I didn't really plan it like I did on the Atlantic, so it was great not planning the meals because we all kind of did it together a bit more, and I quite enjoyed doing that, sort of chatting about, you know, what we're going to do next, and just seemed to work fine. Everyone's sharing that responsibility.
I think I did start to get anxious halfway because I suddenly realised when we were halfway that we were furthest away from anywhere. So we were like 1,500 miles away from Galapagos and 1,500 miles away from the Marquesas. And if anything had gone wrong at that point, we were a long way from rescue. And as a dad, I think, you know, your main instinct is to protect your family. And I just suddenly realised if anything catastrophically had gone wrong, then we were a long way from help.
I think it's more about heading into the unknown of French Polynesia and the Pacific. The things that I was worried about really was the boat, things just failing on the boat, because you have no control over that.
Well, I started kind of checking things a lot more, like the bilges. We noticed there was a bit of water in the bilges, a bit of water in the lazarette as well. And I was checking the steering cables as well, because they were starting to make some funny noises. So obviously that plays on your mind.
The rigging's worried me, because I realise how loose it is, and that we haven't actually had it tightened up since we had the new rigging put on, apart from one of the backstays. And I was aware of that and thinking, I wish we'd done that, because it's definitely too loose, I think. And then it was the noise that came from the autopilot and the steering, and you know, I was more worried about the steering failing, because if the steering failed, then we'd have to kind of move things off the back deck and try and steer with a tiller, and that would be quite a challenge, not impossible. There's water coming in a bit in one of the bilge here that I every few days have to empty out. I was back of my mind worried that if that got worse, you know, how long would it take for the boat to really take on a lot of water. But I didn't go through the usual worries of just lying there thinking the boat's going to sink, and that didn't really seem to bother me so much. And then when the autopilot did fail, which it did in the end, everyone has to hand steer, and I think that's been brilliant really, because you never really do it as much as this. The weather I kind of could see that was fairly consistent. It did pick up a bit on some days, and then I know it's more stress on the boat.
But this 3-week passage, we've covered more of the globe than we have any other time.
I mean, there's some points where you think, is this ever going to stop? I can't do this for more than a few days really, because it's exhausting when the boat's pounding.
You have to spend an hour every night steering, as well as an hour every day steering, and it gets quite tiring.
I wasn't fazed by the waves or the movement or the motion, which is usually what people fear the most, you know, because like, wow, you're at sea, and it is true, you're at sea and everything. I mean, my room is like it's like I'm living with a poltergeist all this time, because things are flying occasionally. You know, it's very normal to just have things rattling and shaking and the boat creaking and everything. So it's amazing how much your mind adapts to, you know, things like that. And so I can sleep through the noise if needs be. I don't get sick.
I think the kids have coped really well. I'm really proud of them. They knew what to expect, and they just kind of focused in on the boat rather than kind of asking every day how long it was going to take.
If you're stuck on a boat for a long time, you get a bit bored and you don't know what to do.
I'm very excited to get there. I mean, I wish I could say that I'm sad that the passage is over, but I'm honestly not. I'm really looking forward to get there. We've got about a day left. This is our last full day sailing, if everything goes to plan.
It's just passages are long and boring. But you know, there's good sides. You get to see dolphins, we catch fish, we eat the fish, have tasty fish.
I'm excited to get off the boat and go on a walk.
It's interesting living with a crew as a family. It's interesting to be here filming them and finding little quirks and things that they say, which I think are particularly disarming and interesting, and reveal human nature.
And I'm happy that it's going to end soon, definitely.
And we've been at sea for like 18, going on 19 days, and that, for me, is a beautiful experience I will never forget, you know, as a filmmaker. You know, that's why I love so much making films, and why I get so excited about films, whether it's about genocide in Rwanda or, you know, a family happily sailing through the Pacific Ocean.
They had some nice times, like we saw dolphins and we caught a few fish, but yeah, I think the bad stuff almost outweighs it. Like, we lost loads of fishing lures. We all felt a bit ill. I'm happy that we're on the last day now, because I hopefully tomorrow we'll arrive there, because if I'm going to be honest, we've been spending way too long on this passage.
I'm so looking forward to putting a beer in the fridge tonight, or a few beers in the fridge tonight, and then opening them tomorrow. Dropping that anchor, putting my feet up and cracking open a tinny, because that basically is the end of the longest passage that we'll probably ever do in this whole circumnavigation. We got dolphins, first we've had in the passage, and they're saying kind of the really dark ones. I've never seen this sort of breed before.
We're in the same boat, heading for different shores. I've chosen my path.
A hot, stuffy boat with stuff inside it's horrible, but when there's like double that, it gets like so hot and you just want to get off the boat. But I suppose it does make you appreciate makes you appreciate land a lot more.
So stay tuned for more adventures as we sail around the world. If you want to find out how to fix your boat, go to our Mothership maintenance channel, and if you've got any questions you want to ask us, join our Patreon family.
I had a dream last night about a boat. It was pink and green with a stripy mast. It had spotty sails and a golden flag. I said, hey, I had a dream.
Judge. No, it's face masks. Leave me alone.